Did you ever wonder? I do. Did you ever wonder why the sun always rises, but the stars never fall? Why dry land is never satisfied by water? And why fire never says enough?
Today on Bible Wonders, I am wondering about what's up with the fat on the liver that you read so much in Exodus and Leviticus. In fact, it's there 11 times. And when I was given the tape set on The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, he said for you to get up every morning and read the Bible for 1 hour. And you needed to pray before you did that to get some understanding, which was extremely helpful. So being just a young car salesman, not a Christian at the time, I said, well, I guess I've spent $100 on this tape set. I'm going to figure out how to get the power of positive thinking by reading the Bible. So when I got to all this stuff about the covering on the liver, I was quite certain that this was not going to help me sell cars, although I pushed through it. But the concept has always intrigued me of what's up with this covering on the liver. Well, in Psalms 51, verse 6 specifically, when David is certainly, repenting over the whole issue with Bathsheba and her husband, I can't even imagine what he was going through. But in Psalm 51:6, he said, "Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom." So fascinatingly, being a deer hunter and having actually harvested many animals, including sheep when I do the Passover Seders that I get to do, like I just did here a few days ago. So you see that when you first look at the inward parts of a sheep or a human being, from what I understand, certain animals have this part called a caul. It's C-A-U-L. And it covers the stomach. One part of it covers the liver. And it almost looks like lace. But it essentially is a membrane that includes fat, but it also includes something very, very important. If you read its actual function, is it has a big function in the immune system, and it has these big globs of white blood cells which fight off infection. And in fact, this covering will, if a part of the entrails gets terribly infected, will actually isolate it if necessary. So it's like you have this covering over your stomach and your liver and your upper intestines that is there as almost like a shield, and inside of that is an immune system, which, when you think about it, what is the biggest when you think of our inward parts of our soul, what's the biggest enemy? It is a type of infection, but it's called lies. It's things that we believe or that were pushed into our system somehow that we took as truth, like, Robbie, you'll never be a success, or you can never get along with people. There's no such thing as love. All these things that we took on as what we call agreements with Satan are the lies that are the infection that we actually live in. And so clearly David, in order to have this affair with Bathsheba and what all took on, he realized that a lot of lies had gotten in as an infection in his system. So isn't it interesting that this very holy part of an animal in Hebrew is spelled the way that it is? I just looked at it this morning and just sat there in wonder. If you look at the word caul, which is this covering, which is almost like a shield for you, it has in it 2 tuvs. So it's a yud, meaning, the hand of God, and then a tuv, which means truth, and then a resh, which means like the head of something, or essentially the spirit of something. And then another tav, which means you got 2 tavs in here, which is like truth, the head of truth. And so that word caul, when God said that when you sacrifice these animals, he wants this very special part to be sacrificed and burnt on the altar as a smoke, as you can see that going up. Now, not coincidentally, I would point out that if you study cauls, you're going to find that to this day, many, many, many cultures prize this piece of fat. That the Navajo Indians, they use it in a dish where they cook in a very special pot where they cover intestines, actually, with this caul in order to eat it. And the Swedish have a dish with it. The Russians have a dish. Usually they're going to cover a tenderloin piece of meat or something because this particular piece of fat is so delicious. So as we wonder about this beautiful thing that's inside of us, we know that David knew that because people like David that harvested animals were aware of what that was and how precious it was and how much it represented truth in the way that they could read it in Hebrew. They could see something that we can't see both culturally, and they could see it because they understood that Hebrew was giving the essence of something. And here you have inside of you this truth that protects your body against infection. And wow, we need this shield to protect us against the infection of lies that we would believe. And we need to break those agreements and agree with God on what our call really should be, and that's CALL. That's something to wonder about today.
Do you ever wonder? Did you ever wonder? I do.